Okay. So this is gonna be like an explanation on how the game works. It's kind of, but mostly about why certain characters are just effective versus others. I mean, this game is really balanced, but the problem comes down to it. Like, every character in this game you can play, but the problem is that in tournament, obviously, you want as little error as possible, and this is where this kind of comes in. Because really, I mean, you can truly play every character in tournament and possibly get a W, but the issue is just that the margin for error in this game, I feel like we haven't got to the point yet, or at least not everyone's there yet, where people are so content with holding a life lead that, because this isn't a game where you can just make a comeback if the guy is very solid. It's really hard for that to happen at the highest level, which we are not even there yet. I just can only imagine how hard it'll be later, coming down the road like a year from now. But so here's my thoughts on the characters in the game right now, and you'll see a trend on why certain things are strong. But okay, so this is how the game works. So there are 3 characters in this game right now that are pretty undeniably, to me, just so like complete and as for a tournament. Like, these are the 3 characters. We'll start off with this guy, this dude, and where the hell's that dude? There you are. These 3 guys to me are like undeniably just so, they all have the same recipe. So, except Shizumaru is going to be up here for a slightly, he's got one more thing. I feel like Shizumaru wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for a couple other things, but we'll see. We'll talk about that in a second. So, obviously Ukyo is up here because he's the only character that can really just, and thanks for the follow, man, Laos. But Ukyo, this guy, we haven't got to the point yet, but like I said, this game is still young. It's only like 7 months old, 8 months old, right? Something like that. No one is really playing Ukyo to the highest potential of this character. He can punish just about everything in the game with Tsubame Gaish. And to me, punishing with Tsubame Gaish is like punishing with Electric Wind God Fist. And I know when Tekken obviously was like developing, people weren't just punishing everything with Electric Wind God Fist, because obviously it's a difficult motion to do. And obviously, Tsubame Gaish is not that hard to do, but doing it in block stun perfectly, frame perfect, is hard to do. And Ukyo is gonna need some time to be cooked. Like, we're gonna need our Ukyo players to be cooking for a little while, and eventually they're gonna start just, you're not gonna want to do shit versus Ukyo, honestly. Right now that you got the easy impromptu like punish is a sweep, but Tsubame Gaish is technically what you always want. But yeah, it's like an executional thing, because he's not like, the execution portion is not hard. Like, doing Tsubame Gaish is not really that difficult. Doing it on a block, doing it in a game without true block stuff, like in this game, multiple hits do not jail. So you can, if you let go of block, you get hit, right? So this character, due to that game mechanic, I think that game mechanic luckily exists. I think it's luckily exists, because if not, Ukyo and Jubei and Shizumaru would just be downright ridiculous. But since that mechanic exists, they actually have to just wait and see. They can't just like, they can't just press the button as soon as possible and it's gonna work out no matter what happens. But that character for sure is he's just gross. His SSM is really good. Tsubame Gaish covers everything. It's an anti-air. It's a block punisher on most scenarios. It beats lows. It's an overhead. I mean, it does everything. And it fucking hurts. Let's not talk about heavy Tsubame guys when he's enraged. His another thing he's got going for him is that his throw game is incredibly strong because you don't want to do anything, right? You don't want to move because Tsubame Gaish, and then he has a great sweep. So between Tsubame Gaish and sweep enables his throw, giving him the grossest throw game. His throw game is also gross because he has such a good damage output on anything he does off a throw. He could, Tsubame Gaish, he could do the medium slash heavy, the ghost slash combo if he feels like, you know, doing it. It's just, he's just so strong. He has everything. His SSM is just doing it. You know, he's one of those, he's got a blessed SSM where he just runs at you. So there's no real like ifs in the scenario where it's going to hit or not. Very consistent character. Like when we get to the point where Ukiyo's are very trained and honed, he's going to be so damn like obnoxious. Like he's already obnoxious, but it's going to be it's going to be really bad. Like you're not going to want to do anything next to him. You're going to want to always maintain a space of safety, because if you stand next to him, your uncomfortability will like dull your reactions, and then that's when he's just going to run up a throw, run up a sweep, or whatever. That's just the future. Obviously that's not now, but I'm just talking like next year, maybe like a year from now. Man, look at this look at Ghost. He's trying to downplay his character. But obviously I know he doesn't believe that. But yeah, I feel like Jubei players have made a really good decision. Not Jubei, yeah, Jubei players are gonna make a really good decision. Ukiyo players are already ahead of the game. I don't think Ukiyo will ever be bad in this game, ever. So Ukiyo players who invest the time into Ukiyo, I mean, y'all have my props. I think he's hard. So I'm never gonna give you guff about like the effort you put in. I'm gonna be upset because he's so good, but not because, you know, because it's just annoying. He's an annoying character. The reward is so high for like anything. So Jubei, I'm gonna talk about Jubei. Jubei is, I feel like the people like, Jubei is so damn, okay, so Jubei don't have no uppercut, that's true. He got jump at medium though, that's fine. Jubei's weapon flip is not like, it's a usable weapon flipping technique, but it's not like the best weapon flipping technique because you can't combo into it, and everyone wants a comboable weapon flipping technique. But you know, Ukiyo don't have that, but he's cooking. So Jubei, for the same reason, without a workable weapon flipping technique, is just super good. Here's why like these two characters that don't have good weapon flipping techniques are still good. It's because weapon flip, the rage portion of the match, while it is important, it's only temporary. These characters, even without rage, are just effective the entire time. So that means they just go from being very effective to being super effective. And Jubei, even without a good weapon flipping technique, his buttons are so damn good. And he's got the same 50-50 as Ukiyo. He's got the overhead, which is like, you can make that safe. Or he's got the sweep, which hurts like crazy. It's a low. It starts up really fast. Hits twice. And it's a true guess. And the only reason why it's messed up is because unlike Ukiyo, it's reverse Ukiyo to me. Because Ukiyo's low is safe, but the overhead is super punishable. But like Jubei's overhead is very low risk and does little damage, but it's not very punishable. But the low is very punishable, but high risk. So that's the high risk. It's like a reverse Ukiyo mix-up scenario. And I'm not talking about, that's just one part of this character. Like the other part of this character is that his pokes are just so strong. Now, so when they changed the game to the deflects being slower, like they swapped the dodge with the deflect, when they did that, this character went from like, the character was already good, and then he went to like even better, because no one really quite in this game can punish you as bad as Jubei for a whiff deflect. Because, you know, just look at these other characters that have whiff cancelable mediums. They either have to move into range or they can't combo into anything. Jubei almost at any range will combo into DP, and his DP hurts. So you need to deflect versus Jubei to establish a ground game, but in turn, it will allow him to kill you. So he holds the neutral hostage with low risk and high reward for anything he does. He's just if you like neutral, this is the ultimate neutral character, because if you just play intelligently and you have as little holes in your game as possible, then you can control the entire match. The only weakness at Jubei is like the player, like just bad fireballs, bad pokes, predictability, bad risk management, stuff like that. His stand medium slash in the DP is just undeniably one of the best things ever in this game, and in his throw game is equally as good as Jubei's. I mean, it's Ukyo's. His throw is just so like, here's the problem with Ukyo throw. So Ukyo throw, there's no problem with it, is that Ukyo throw has a chance to fuck it up because you have to walk forward a little bit and then do the slash. So there's at least a little bit of a barrier there for execution that he may mess up. Jubei cannot fuck his up. I mean, if you do, I mean, you fucked up. I can't help you. That medium into the DP run is so easy, and it does so much damage, and you get so much screen, you get all your space back, you get the mix up afterwards. You can choose to not go in. I mean, you have so much potential after that throw into the combo. And then let's not forget how much damage he does in Rage. In Rage, the DP does astronomical damage. So he's even grosser in Rage. Like, he doesn't need the weapon flipping technique to be good. The Rage mix-up is just so strong. And the last thing I need to touch about Jubei is that he also has an SSM that is, if you parry, you ain't gonna fucking miss it. So, you know, another consistency here is what's really strong in Samurai Shodown, and those two characters are just so consistent across the board with almost everything they do. So that's why they're up there, and this is also why Shizumaru is going to be up here too. So Shizumaru, this character is another character that people bring up execution, but even the best parts about him aren't even execution heavy. This character, he's got good whiff punish. His stand heavy is probably one of the most useful ones in the game. It does as much as Gendro's 2C, just about, I think. Maybe it does a little less, but he's a complete character with really strong whiff punish options, a very consistent SSM, and good mix-ups, good throw game. He's got a mechanic no one else has. He has the tap mechanic where he just holds the charge in for multiple rounds, and he can catch out essentially an SSM. I mean, obviously it's a detriment to hold the button down because you lose mechanics for doing that, but he can really get by without worrying about it. Like, he can get by without dodge and deflect. He can get by without those. It's just, you know, you just have to decide what in that matchup you want to forfeit in order to hold this, you know, possibility to just land an SSM for free. He has a hit confirmable three hitting low. You have to confirm on the second hit, but it's a hit confirmable low in this game, which is, I can't. Does anyone else in the game have a low that hit confirms or even like cancels on hit? I can't think of anyone with a low cancelable that hits like low, not like a crouching attack, but like a low, because that's so strong. It's so strong. That means you can't walk away from Shizumaru. You have to probably jump, and then he has a tap and a DP. So it's like it's just damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario, right? It's just so strong. This character's strong. And then on top of that, his umbrella, even though people want to like talk about his like little gimmicks where he just does the instant overhead stuff, really the umbrella is strong just as a multi-purpose tool. When he hovers, very few characters can bait Isen, and he can bait Isen like 3 different ways. And controlling your flight pattern in this game, where anti-airs are very important and difficult to land already, is just another thing that you just have to worry about with this character. He's just so complete. His only real drawback is that he has low health. and it's not even too crazy, really. I mean, just I'll take that. I'll take the low. I mean, Ukyo also has low health, but I mean, I don't think that's that big of a deal for these two characters. They have the low health to compensate for the tools they have. Their low health makes sense. Like, they have that for a reason. But that character is cheap. And these characters, they're not too ridiculous. Like, they break the game. They're just the best. To me, they're the trio of perfect play equals a tournament victory. Because to me, Samurai Shodown, perfect play is the quickest way to anything. Like, less mistakes, big punishment for their mistakes. Things like that are that is the dividing factor between most of these characters. So now I'm done talking about like these guys. These guys are the guys. Like, these are the dudes. To me, when I see this guy is gonna win, if I look at a bracket and I see a lot of these guys, I'm like, damn, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be rough. But yeah, so cheap. Now, the next tier is, let me see. So I don't got my glasses on. Here, let me give out a sub for watching. Appreciate y'all tuning in. So the next stage here is these are the characters that are pretty much they're almost as good as these guys, but the difference here is that they have some kind of inconsistency that just keeps them from being as effective on capitalizing on their opponent. That's how, or they just can't force scenarios or just stay perfect the whole game. And to me, it's these characters. So Charlotte, I wanted to put S, but I need to put her A+, mainly because while she is super gross, I feel like most Charlotte players, I feel like the holding up and pressing heavy is just such a strong defensive tool that they get through bracket just on that. And then once they run into like these three guys or anyone playing a good character that's like can competently fight, most of them just crumble. And it's not because the character's bad, it's just that the character at that point, she has to poke people to death, and then she has the tools for it. But unlike Jubei, Ukyo, and Shizumaru, her opportunities for SSM, her opportunities to be SSM'd, her opportunities to, she can't cancel buttons in neutral, like she can't cancel medium into anything. She can't really just like take a hold of the situation, right? Like if you ever watch, like if there's like 30 seconds left in a match and Charlotte's behind, it's really tough for her to just like, I'm turning it on, it's time to win. What's up, Space Detective? I like watching your videos, man. I like to tune in your YouTube every now and then to watch the little Samurai Shodown stuff. But she's good as fuck. Like I'm not underplaying her. She's good as fuck. Charlotte is super gross, but she just don't quite got everything. Her throw game is weak outside of weapon flipping technique. Her what's it called? Her medium being not cancelable is kind of a detriment, really, especially in moments where you need to make a comeback, because every time you can only imagine that every time you wish you could have just did medium into something and then got knocked down and push the opponent to the corner or whatever, but she has to settle for a medium poke because her heavies are trash. You can't, and she can't really get a heavy. She just can't really just, I'm gonna win. Like she just can't. I'm gonna win. That's really her drawback. But I mean, if you play her solidly, she could win most of these matchups through attrition. Her jab is amazing. Medium is amazing. Her crouch jab is amazing. Her crouch medium is amazing. Her kick is amazing. Her 5K is amazing. Her 5D is amazing. Her jump heavy is amazing. Her jump B, her everything's good. Her bayonet lunge is great. Her triangle slash is good. It's just, you know, the lack of immediate threat when played correctly against is what holds her back. So, you know, great character. Just can't, you know, randomly make some shit happen. You have to, it's all player, like you have to really make some shit happen. But yeah, that's my thought on this character. So the next character in this tier, I hesitated on putting this guy up in S, but when I thought about Haohmaru, at first I thought he was gonna be pretty bad after the first patch, like 6 months ago. I rated him really low, and it's because I thought that the nerf to the weapon flip was more egregious than it was supposed to be. But his weapon flipping technique is still super good. It still holds people hostage. Like, this character is, his fireball game is good. His 6-6A is still good. Like, come on. Like, that character is 6-6A. Even if it's nerfed, it's still really good. If you're good at spacing it, it's super obnoxious. And it's because you don't want to sit there, because his run throw game is also good. But this character can make miraculous comebacks because of weapon flipping technique. But the difference is that his poke game is not really up to snuff with the rest of the characters that are very consistent. And his fireball game, while is also very good, you really can just not do anything. I mean, most people when they fight versus Hao, they eventually jump, but really you don't have to. You can just block it, you know, just build the meter and force him to come to you. You don't have to like face that fireball game. The only time you have to face the fireball game is if you have a high deficit and you have to make a decision. And at that point, you probably lost to the player anyway. It's not really because the Haohmaru, you know, it's just because you lost. His 5C is really good now. It's really good whiff punisher. So don't whiff deflect on him. Running 6-6B is very good. I'll get options like his throw game is good. His anti-air, his DP is probably the most consistent DP in the game at this point. And while it doesn't have the benefit of Charlotte's DP, where it does a huge chunk, it still has such good area coverage that like he can establish a no jump zone from like 80% of the screen. I mean, when I play versus like Earthquake, I pick Haohmaru. I mean, really, Earthquake just has to sit there, and that's the last thing they want to do, right? They don't want to jump, because if they jump, I can anti-air him from full screen, which is crazy to me that I can anti-air Earthquake from full screen. But that's Haohmaru. There's not really too much to talk about. Y'all know why he's good. His weapon flipping technique is good. This is a very solid character. He's just like if Ryu was good currently. You know, he reminds me of Street Fighter 4 Ryu, like the Super Edition of Ryu. Like just super complete. Not too great, not too insane, but you know, Super Street Fighter 4 Ryu, where he was just had everything, but he wasn't too insane. But yeah, that shit's good as fuck. Them fireballs are pretty good. He has the best fireball of the game to me in the entire game. His fireball game is the best. It's only because he can actually make it low risk, because the light fireball is just so good. But all right, so these two, I feel like y'all pretty much understand why they're here. Now, the next guy I want to put up, you know, I'm gonna wait on the next guy. Let's put, who else would I put up here? I had it here figured out. I think I ended up adding more people in the A+ tier than I had liked. Oh, here she is. This is what I wanted to put there. Okay, Shiki. Shiki obviously is, Shiki to me is like, so she's like, to me, she's the most comeback in this character almost, because even though she doesn't have good far-reaching pokes, her whiff punish game is strong, so small mistakes add up very quick. Her damage is insane. She has a cross up that's really good. Her her SSM is the best in the game. Her weapon flipping technique is super good. Run cancelable normals on 5B, 66B. Very fast buttons. I mean, good mix-up. Only problem with her mix-up is that it's kind of not as oppressive as Jubei's. Like, Jubei and Shiki kind of play the same idea, like around the same idea. But the difference between Shiki and Jubei is that Jubei's Jubei's shit is just like, it resets itself so well. And Shiki kind of relies on the rollback tech to land a good mix-up again. Because Oki in this game is very hard to apply, but Jubei, Ukyo is the one that can keep doing it over and over again without too much effort, or like a need for safe jump setups or all that good stuff. She's super strong though. I just feel like a lot of Shiki players, I feel like they're not real content to do nothing. If they just did more nothing and waited for the opponent to do something, they could take the lead very easily and then just run with it. But hopefully eventually the Shiki, gameplay kind of develops to that, where they just very patiently wait to whiff punish people, get the knockdown, run the mix up, get the life lead, and they don't work out, back up, and just do it over and over. Because she has a DP. Like, aside, having a if you notice something here, there's a very good trend here of all these characters at the top right now that have reliable anti-airs to have a good ground-based game. Because having an anti-air that's consistent is so strong. Because once you have placed a strong ground game and strong anti-airs, your opponent has to really just at that point devolve to just baiting. And if you're a better player, then that's what you want, because then you can that's when you just start throwing them, you sweeping them, that's when you do everything. And Shiki kind of does that. It's just the only reason why she's down there to me instead of an S, because all these are equal. This row is equal. I consider everyone in the same row is equal. So it's not like Shiki's the bottom A+ or whatever. She's just equal to Charlotte and Haomaru. But Shiki is not S because I think her jump arc is actually a detriment. It's a good thing and a bad thing, but I feel like she can't just... Her buttons on the ground aren't strong enough to consistently outpoke good characters, and so she's forced to jump. And since she's forced to jump, then she puts herself in a situation where she'll lose even more health because she can't technically hold it down. So that's why I think Shiki's not S but A+, because being able to having to have to jump is such a bad thing. And the only character that gets away with it, there's a character that I'm gonna put up here a little bit that gets away with it, but it's only because we all know why this character's got put up there. But so to me, those are the top. Well, actually, I have one more. I know this one is gonna be the one that everyone's gonna be like, "What the heck? Why is this character up here anyway?" But I put this character up here, and I just don't think no one is good enough with Nakaruru, aside from a choice person who doesn't really play Nakaruru all the time. I think she's super, super good, but no one uses her, and her health is so low that most people don't want to put the time in to make her work. She's the only character in the game who can punish everything with jab into something that's insane. You can't medium. You can't press medium. If you're in proximity with this character this close and you do a medium button, you're gonna get punished. If we're talking about this is the Nakaruru player this guy has been playing Nakaruru for a year. He's a good player. He has he's been doing his homework. If you press medium next to Nakaruru, jab into whatever, and it punishes everything. Knockdown, mix up. And her weapon flip, jab weapon flip. Is there any character in the game that can do jab weapon flip anymore? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe Yoshitora, I think, but I can't remember. But oh no, Earthquake can do jab weapon flip. But I digress. That there's a very few amount of characters that can punish things with jab into weapon flip. and she's one of them. Her mix-up game is really good. Her zoning game is actually pretty good. The bird is a non-reflectable projectile, which is actually really good. I mean, considering that Ukyo cannot reflect it, Maru cannot reflect it. Shizumaru cannot reflect it. They have to hold that shit, or they have to at least assess it. You know, they can't just like, whatever. You know, they have to do something about it. Such a strong character. Like, Nakaruru is just like underrated, or that, or just underplayed. I can't tell if just the type of players who are tryhards to, like, you know, try to want to win a tournament just don't gravitate towards Nakaruru due to her character design. And, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I feel like some characters just attract certain people, and maybe this is the people that like Nakaruru just aren't the kind of people that just go hardcore into the, you know, into the tournament scene. But Nakaruru is definitely really fucking good, but just no one has really shown anyone that. But the recipe is there. Like, it's just no one does it. I always thought about trying, but, you know, I just already have a character that I'm more adept with, and I just don't feel the need to do it. And maybe that's the case. Maybe a lot of people when the game came out, Nakaruru didn't appear that good to them, and they kind of settled into their own ways, so no one wants to try Nakaruru route. But that's the A+ tiers. I don't think I can add anyone else up there, honestly. Everyone up there is kind of like set in their way. If there was one person I was like on the fence with, it'd be... Nah, we'll just leave her. We'll leave her down. I can't tell if I want to put her up there. I think she's just missing the consistency I'm looking for. So we'll put the next tier is I mean, like I said, this game is really balanced. So don't think like, hey, we're getting pretty low. These characters are bad. No, these characters are still good. We haven't gotten to the point where I'm just like, okay, guys, this is it. So the character problem. So this character here, I want to put in A+. I really do. I actually don't know if I want to. Like, I just can't tell if I want to do it. She's just so good. But the problem with her is that I feel like all these characters up here, they can kind of just outdo her in damage on a regular basis, aside from the JC. And I feel like really good players aren't really gonna get caught by JC enough to make the difference. I want to put Darlie up there, I really do, but like, I just don't see the damage average, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, on average, how much damage will Darlie do? Because on average, if the guy is playing solid versus Darlie Dagger, then the only thing they're going to be eating is like 5B and maybe like the running low or the running overhead and maybe the hook. The JCs are seeable and you can just block and push or just defend. And so they have to make a really good jump in attempt, which is, it's not a bad thing. I mean, the character's jump in is super gross. I want to put her up there just for how good the jump in is. But I don't think it's enough when most of the characters in the game have an actual answer for it. When you play correctly anyway, you know. I think she's just so, she's strong. It's just, I think the weapon flipping technique, even though it has that really cool ability to have an armor, I think the range on it is what makes her not. If she could just combo a max range 5B into the weapon flip, she would be really good. Like, then I would easily put her at A. But since she can't 5B for max range and cancel weapon flip, like, you know, Nakaruru, Shiki, Shizumaru, Haomaru, that, and you know, it's just not enough, you know. She's good though. Obviously, her JC is the best jump in the game. It just the disproportionate amount of damage you get for anything, and her run mix-up is pretty good. It's very punishable, but it's very good. And her kicks are good. Her throws good. Her hook is good. It has a very good range. The hook needs to be buffed on it. I think the hook should be buffed, but it's still, for the function it's supposed to serve, it's good. She has an answer for projectiles. She's just a good character. She just doesn't have that, you know, that like, I'm gonna like, she just don't have that consistency that I feel like these characters here, these characters represent to me like a top 8. Like I would normally see in a top 8 if they were played optimally. Like this is the characters you would see top 8 at a tournament consistently, just on a normal basis. I feel like that's fine. I feel like that's a good assessment. This is you're gonna see these guys top 8, and then down here, these are the unscrupulous characters that will sneak in when people are really solid and strong. Like this is what this row is to me. So we'll put Darlie in. The next character for me is gonna be Yashamaru. This character is also very strong, but just doesn't quite have the recipe as these characters. Poke game is really good. The double jump can't be understated as one of the strongest fucking things in the game. Being able to double jump is so busted. He can bait Eason thrice. That's so strong. But his problem is that, like, so he doesn't have a cancelable 5B, and while his 5B is super good, like it's really good, it's just like he can't quite. He has to land a heavy. I feel like Yashamaru's win condition, just like Darlie, I feel like these two characters have the same win condition where they just have to land a heavy. And when you play really solid players, the margin for landing random heavies just diminishes. So, while his 2C is fantastic, his 5C does a disproportionate amount of damage enraged. His neutral C is, his jumping JC is really good. His jump back A is good. It's just like, the Yashamaru just don't get no damage outside of 5C or 2C or 6C. He has to land a heavy. And enraged, he's really good. He gets a good mix-up game. His mix-up game is almost as good as Ukyo's when he's enraged. It's just that, that's when you're enraged. You don't want to be a complete character only enraged. You want to be a complete character all the time, and then rage only adds to how dangerous you are. That's how you should want to be. But I feel like Yashamaru, since he was a brand new character with the game, they really wanted to experiment with the idea of, well, what if a character is just gross enraged? Because he's gross enraged. Like, no lie, this dude is super good. The ability to whiff punish with the sword throw into the pizza cutter does good damage. The sword throw in the Eason is good. The dash does a lot. The run up medium into dash does an insane amount of damage. I mean, his damage output is gross. It's just only enraged. And when you limit your gameplay to at its best only existing when your character is enraged, then that means that you're only playing the character optimally when you're losing, which that's not a good look. The only reason Haomaru, while his weapon flip is his key feature, he's fine without it. I mean, he's a complete character without it. The weapon flip, it just puts him over the top. That's what makes him like even more gross. But oh, appreciate it, man. Thanks, Kazuki. I tried, dude. That shit was close. Like, I almost like collapsed under my anger. Y'all don't know how mad I was when I lost. I was fucking pissed. When I lost the KIT, I was like, I almost about quit. I wanted just to give up and just fucking pack it up. But luckily, I had everyone be supportive, and then I actually ended up. What I did was I turned off my phone. And I just turned my phone off and sat there, and I just thought about really hard what I could do to change it. And eventually I kind of calmed myself down, and I was able to just bulldoze. I used my anger, channeled my anger into like just effectiveness. But yeah, so Yashamaru, that's where he's at, and that's why he's there. Another character in this tier would probably be, you're gonna see a trend here with this A tier, Now that's my boy right here. Tam Tam is really good, but he has a lot of intentional holes in his gameplay. And so obviously this is my main, right? And I'm not underplaying my main. I thought for a while he would be A, but after the longer I play Tam Tam, the more I realize that the smarter people I face, my better options become inherently risky on hit. So to me, like, okay, so the best way I could say is, so Tam Tam, obviously I'm gonna go into depth with Tam Tam because it's the character I play. 5A, -7 on hit. So 5A being -7 on hit that's my best button. Oh, and 5K and 5A are my best buttons to get people, 5D to get people away and like to stop them. 5D is punishable on hit. 5A is punishable on hit. So really, I don't want to use them at the mid range. So I want to use 5B. Really, I want to use 5B. But 5B, when people run, they run into the dead zone, and the 5 people just fucking miss. So since 5B will miss, I have to use 5A and 5D. But the problem with those moves is that when I land them, most people don't really do anything about it right now. But maybe down the road, more people will swing on like hit. I'll do 5A twice in a row, and they'll let me hit them. But I don't think they realize that if they had just did anything, it would have interrupted me. Like, I hate Ukyo like crazy, because Ukyo players don't know they're doing it, but Ukyo players have a really bad habit of 6-6D when they get hit. Just to turn shit around, right? They always 6-6D on hit, or they do 6D on hit. And so Ukyo to me is my natural enemy, because when I land a hit and they 6D, or they 6-6D, or they're in Tsubame Gai's range, I have to wait. I can't just take my turn back. And since I have to wait, it makes my character that's supposed to be getting people away from me a lot weaker. And so he's good. Don't get me wrong. You know why he's an A? If his weapon flipping technique wasn't as good as it was, he wouldn't be an A. This guy's weapon flipping technique is one of the best weapon flipping techniques in the game, hands down. I think it's better than, to me, it feels better than Hamaru sometimes. It's just so effective. You can do it to catch neutral jumps, catch regular jumps, whiff punish, deflect. You can do anything. Like, that thing is godlike. I use that shit like crazy. I mean, if you guys watch KIT, I mean, really, go back and watch KIT when I played Tam Tam. I landed weapon flip so many damn times. And really, it carried me. Like, it carried me. Like, the weapon flip, the amount of times I landed weapon flip carried me. Because it allows me to get my momentum back and get all the screen back. Tam Tam also has this problem where he can't get screen back. So when even though his let me stop complaining about Tam Tam. Let's talk about the good stuff about Tam Tam. Grossest poke in the game, best sweep in the game, instant overhead that does a huge amount of damage, really safe knockdown with 4 and 6 with 6D, best weapon flip in the game. I don't know if I said that already. I might have said that already. I have to say it again if I did. It's fucking good. Pagana Pagana is fucking one of the cheapest fucking moves in the game when you can set it up right. Pagana Pagana just pushes him all the way across the screen, does insane chip, and it's like -4 or some shit. It's so good. It's such a good move. Ahogabu is good too, but it's only good if you know where to put it. Like, no one ever kills me for doing Ahogabu, but it's because I just know when they're not gonna run, because I spent the whole game hitting them. And you know, the issue with Tam Tam though comes down to consistency with the hold on one second. But the But the character for Tam Tam, like the character's problem with Tam Tam is that he's punishable on hit on all this good shit. That's just the way it is. Mula Mula is punishable almost all the time. Mula Mula is really good. I mean, Mula Mula's good too. It's just that there's such a consequence for doing almost anything that doesn't, I have to trick people. I just have to feel like I'm constantly like outplaying and trick people. And even though his buttons are absolutely gross, I feel like the longer the game goes on, the better people get, they'll realize the more opportunities they have to strike. JC, like the instant jump back overhead, is punishable on hit by pretty much every character in the game if they're standing. So I can't even bail out. I have to hit him crouching. It has to be a mix-up. I can't just bail out with it. How Mario can weapon flipping technique get on hit no matter what, like even crouching. There's like 2 characters that can do that shit. I think Wanfu's another one, or he can do the pillar toss and it'll hit me no matter what. The one that goes full screen, he can do that shit. But that's why Tam Tam's there. Really good character, good buttons. He's just a footsie character. He's just footsie incarnate. That's all he's got. It's just footsies and the weapon flipping technique. If you can just, so he's so basic that I feel like it's really easy to get value out of Tam Tam, and that's why he's such an effective character. And he's an effective character. He's just really, really good stuff out of him. Just the problems he has, they kind of like versus good players, they will definitely take advantage of that shit. Like I don't even want to play versus Nakaruru. When the Nakaruru rise up from wherever they are, they're gonna jab punish me on hit. Like every time I hit him with 5A, I'm gonna get bucket punished. But so the next character I want to put up here is, let's put Kazuki up here. Kazuki is another character that when he has everything, but he just don't quite got that edge. And Kazuki, I feel you can win a tournament with Kazuki. Like we're still in a tournament winning era. Like this is the characters that will win. Like most characters can win. This is just this has the highest probability. Like Kazuki, he has a good 5B, but it doesn't combo to anything from max range. That's his problem. And so his footsies he's kind of like, he kind of like Darley, where he hits super hard, like exponentially hard. A lot of these characters in this tier hit hard, and then they just don't have good tools because I guess they would be S tier if they did. Or they'd be better than the S tier characters at that point. But not being able to cancel 5B from that range is very weak for a character like this. Characters that don't have long range normally need a cancelable 5B at range into something to offset their problems, but he don't got it. His dash jab is very good. His 6-6A is very good. His 5D is very good. His jumping attacks are very good. His 2C is like the best anti-air in the game. Like aside from Hamaru's DP, his 2C is the best. The chunk you get and the ease, like if I were Kazuki, I would just play for that. Like just play for the 2C. That shit hurts so bad, and it's consistent. Like it's hard to fuck that shit up. Exploding pants is very good as like a frame trap. So like if you do A into pants and people retaliate, they will always get hit. So the pants are very strong. This fireball game is not that good to me. I know a lot of people bring up his fireball game, but really it does such a very low amount of damage. His fireball is truly for the extension. That's what it's for. It's to get the big damage combos. And when you reduce it to the big when you reduce the fireball to just an extender, then it puts a hole in his game from like the outside of mid range, right? So and also he has to give up Oki. So a lot of characters can like take screen or put pressure on opponent, but he has to forfeit a mix-up in order to charge up his insane damage. Which I mean, that's a good trade-off if you really are a good player. But having that is kind of whack. Oh, but I will say this: he has two redeeming things. His rage comes fast. So he has access to his incredibly high damage whiff punish option at that point, where he grabs them and explodes them and it does like a quarter of their fucking life. His weapon flipping technique goes over Mula Mula, and like certain fireballs that can travel on the ground, he can go over them. I don't think they go over Jubei, but I think they go over I think it goes over Kiyoshiro and Tantam's. Maybe it'll go over Basara's load too, but his weapon flipping technique is actually kind of lackluster compared to the rest of the character. His SSM is actually super good. I mean, most people don't talk about it, but the range on it, on how far he scoots forward, you really don't have to dash half the time to make a connection on the SSM. You can pretty much just combo it, and you know, consistency is a very good thing in a character in this game. So having an SSM that just works is super strong. Super strong. But that's kind of my thoughts of that character. Oh, one last thing. His ability to just, I feel like he's super good. His one thing that's super good is the ability to hit people with a fireball when he gets knocked down to alleviate Oki. That is so good. It's funny because like Jubei, I think Jubei and Ukyo both, and maybe Genjiro, if they knock him down with like Tsubame Gaish or the DP or whatever, he can send the fireball at him and he hit him on hit. So that means that if Ukyo needs to win and you have the fireball, that means he can only go low. And at that point, I mean, what are you gonna do? What is he gonna do? He can't do shit. That's like so cheap. To me, that's such a crazy ability he has. So I mean, keep that in mind, Kazuki players. That if you play versus Ukyo, keep that big fireball. If it's like that in the game, just get it. Just get it. Oh, no problem, man. No problem. Yeah, that fireball is a complete no fun zone. Which, you know, it is what it is. Not everybody gonna have fun around. Not everyone is allowed to have fun in Samurai Shodown, sadly. But for sure, that shit's gross. Damn, that's good. The next character I want to talk about is this guy. Now, y'all saw me play Wanfu and KIT, if y'all watched anyway. And really, I didn't play him to his best strengths because I really haven't had time with the character. But when I'm at a house and I'm relaxing and I'm just playing for fun, I can really see the strength of this character. It's just in tournament when you're nervous and you're trying to play into something unfamiliar, it's hard to like bring out the character strengths. So this character, it's hard to like, so you have to just take my word for it. This fucking character has the ability to just close out a game whenever he feels like. And not only that, but his 5B is not damage wise, but just as a whiff punish, one of the best characters. Like, just easy. Like his 5B, his whiff punish game. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate the bits. The ability to just whiff punish anything with 5B is so good. What's up, Nightmass? And like, okay, so he can also punish everything with 5B. Let's just talk about 5B. His 5B is what carries him, and not just the 5B, the jump B. I don't know if you guys have spent time with Wanfu, but his JB beats everything. I'm talking about everything. I mean, you can just jump back beat everything. I think I would put that shit against fucking Jubei's JB. I mean, it's fast. I don't have no idea how fast it is. Maybe it's like 5 frames or some shit, but that's just like wham. I mean, it's out. I mean, it's fun as fuck to hit that shit. This shit good as fuck. And really, the character as a whole, his recoil game is one of the best in the game. His recoil game is I can say that. His recoil game is the best or tied. Because he can DP, throw the pillar, and do a mix-up or save himself from whatever you had to punish him. He can do quarter circle forward A, which is a one-hitter. When he spins, it's relatively safe when spaced perfectly. And it's so fast that most people just run into it. And it's just a strong footsie character, really. The only problem with him is that his 5C is insanely gross and damage, and as a whiff punish is fine, but it's not good as a poke. Some characters have good pokes with their C's, but his 2C is super good. I mean, Tantan's 2C is good, but this guy's 2C is super good. Let me tell you why his 2C is super good. His 2C, since it recoils, he can cancel the 5A and make it way safer than it was before, and possibly not punishable. So this character's pokes are just so good. His drawback is that his command throw is not. It's only accessible without the pillar. I feel like his drawback is that since he has to throw the weapon, he's very susceptible to unnecessary comebacks. So since you can ruin your own game, and you may just lose in scenarios you may not have pictured, he's just really. It's gonna take a really, what's the word I'm looking for? It takes a really reserved play style to not just do a plus 20 projectile. and it doesn't hold and normally, to me, the person who plays it is not why I put someone A, but even if you do play reserved and you go for the pillar throw, the pillar throw, there really is no mix-up behind it. I mean, you just hold up, really, and take the hit, and it's not that big of a deal. If he presses A and hits you out, good. I mean, nothing really happens. He'll pick up the pillar and go again. But if he goes for throw and you guess it, he may just potentially lose the whole game. And his greatest weakness, his weapon flip is so good, but also trash. Because his weapon flip is just tam-tams, but except you don't get a fucking follow-up. You have to just choose to throw your throw hands or pick up the weapon, and you both pick a weapon. So you just have to do it for the sake of doing damage. And another thing, I really was hesitant on picking Wong-Fu because I haven't really developed Wong-Fu well enough to not throw weapon flip in a situation that won't kill me. Because Wong-Fu has a problem where if he throws weapon flip into me and it's on a combo or it's a punish and they burst, you lose your weapon and they have E-Sen. So you're dead. You're dead. It's fucked up. Like, if his weapon flip was more like Tam-Tams, or he didn't have, it has the same ideas as Tam-Tam, but the difference is that you can potentially lose the entire game if you do it wrong. And now Tam-Tams works like that too, but you're not also disarmed. You know, you can throw into weapon flip as Tam-Tam, but you can't with Wong-Fu, because if you do and they burst and it's round 3, that's it. So you just have to be okay with just not doing it. You have to just only use it as an anti-air or as a whiff punish, which is difficult. But, you know, I just said a whole bunch of stuff about Wong-Fu. I didn't realize I was going to go into such huge detail about Wong-Fu. But it's terrible. You really don't want to do some shit like that, you know? There's only one more character left to me. And that would be... Actually, you know what? I'll put this guy. I know probably most of y'all didn't see this coming, but this guy, I know he doesn't get very much representation, but he has this thing going for him where, like, so if you're really good if you're a good player you will notice that the fireball can take a lot of these characters' best abilities away from them. And there's a lot of things about this character that don't interact with a lot of these tools. The 66C just don't interact with DPs most of the time. They just goes through them or hits them anyway. Enraged, he's the best character. Enraged, he's the best character. Like, to me, he's fucked up because round 2, he's gonna get rage, right? And then that means that round 3, if he hadn't killed you already, then he's gonna burst. And then when he bursts, you can't jump or even try to fight the fireball, because if you try to clash the fireball or jump, he get descent. So he's a character that can win a tournament for sure. His issue is that I feel like people play him and they go straight to Clown Fiesta. Like, they just start doing crazy shit. And you don't have to do crazy shit. You can just play solid, like really, really solid, and just play a decent fireball game. And when they do something, you punish it. He's got a good sweep. He's got a good 5B. And a lot of other good shit. I mean, his jump A, his jump C is like really fast. It's like one of the grossest air to airs in the game. It does so much damage. His I will say Hanzo's main drawback is that thanks for the follow, Comfy Ackerman. His main drawback as a character, and I said this when the game came out. I was hoping that it would change, but truly his main drawback as a character is that his recoil game off of medium and jab and heavy is a lot to be desired. Like, really, this character, his recoil game is non-existent. You can do jab, you can do fake recoil stuff, but none of it is threatening. And then if you have a DP in this game, if he does heavy and he recoils, you can DP every option he has. Not only that, you can probably weapon flip him for everything he has. So having a really weak recoil game is just, that's what's holding him back. Otherwise, I'd put him fucking like A+. If he had like a DP or some shit, he'd be S. I would be like, whoop. But since he has no DP, very bad recoil game, his shenanigans are like, they're good, but they're not like the game winners. Is playing solid with his character and then mixing the shenanigans in, that's the game winner. It's just, you know, that's what holds him back. The weak recoil game and the lack. I guess maybe the distance on his pokes are not very desirable. When you don't have very good distance on your pokes, it's not really a good thing in this game, especially the game with characters whose swords take up half the fucking screen, you know. But gross character. Just, you know, only he has the problem I said with almost all these characters, where they're just gross in rage, right? They're all gross when they're enraged. They have insane stuff enraged, but like, that's just enraged, right? You want these guys who are like good all the time, and then when they have rage, it's just like, holy shit. But all these characters gross enraged. Now, I'm gonna put, I was hesitant on doing this, but I'm going to put, this is where I have to decide if I'm gonna start B or not. And really the decider, I wish there was like, you know what? We're gonna put Gendro here. I know Bates is gonna hate me for that. Bates is gonna hate me for that. But I think he's just as good as these characters, honestly. I know Bates is gonna disagree with me, but I think he's just as good. And Bates thinks he's like B but I think he's A. I'm kind of whispering so he doesn't hear me. But for real though, I think he's good. DP, what can we say? He's got the best DP in the game. The angle is amazing. Like for recoils, it's the best DP. Hanma has the best anti-air DP. Genjiro has the best DP, hands down. It has the problem with the damage is like it falls off weird, but he doesn't have to engage recoils like at all. Like he doesn't have to engage recoils at all. Hold on 1 second. So I don't have my glasses on. There we go. All right, so the recoil game is non-existent in this character almost. Oh, thanks for the share, man. Appreciate it. But being able to DP through everyone's recoil game is such an advantage. I mean, if anyone does a heavy, that's it. He's gonna DP your ass. Like that's that. Like you have no other choice. There's nothing you can do to stop him. I don't think, except for maybe Tam Tam, who can do like a backwards, the hot back shit. But everyone else, that's it. You heavied, he got your ass. That's it. That's really strong. He also has the best. I think he has one of the best recoil games himself, because he can cancel into the card, which you know it is what it is. Like it has its purposes. He has the little multi slash. He has the Rekka. He has a DP. So this a character is just like you hesitate to punish a lot of his shit because if he recoils, you might just run into it. I mean, it's frustrating. It's just frustrating to watch him just recoil in your face, but you don't want to swing. He just has safe options too off of recoil that are less risky. I mean, he can just do the card. You can do the 2 slashes. He can turn a scenario where it would be certain death into like a paper cut, you know. Or he can go all in and die. I mean, you can. It's a 2-sided spectrum. He can go all in and die, or he can just make it, very minimal damage. But he's a very strong character when it comes to reducing his own damage. And his 2C is very strong. His 5C is very strong. He's got a low mid poke. He's got a low poke at mid range, it was really good, but now it's not really so good. His 5K is a pretty good block punisher. His 2K is his 5D is a block punisher. His 2D is a very good block punisher. He's getting 2D into DP. His jumping is very good. He's just a good solid character. It's not really. His problem exists where even though he can handle. Here's the thing. Let me just dump these guys in real quick. These people are all the same. They all have the same problem. We'll get into that in a second. These guys are all the same tier. But let's talk about this. So this guy myrtleizes people like this. And Darlie. And Kazuki. Right? Myrtleizes them. Just cuts them. But when he has to face these people, and like this guy, like Tam Tam, like when he has to play these people, and Tam Tam, and Yashamaru, and Wanfu, it gets ugly, like really fast, because he can't really quite establish his game on these people, because they don't have to approach it or play it. You know, they don't have to interact with Genjiro's strengths. These characters all have to interact with Genjiro's strengths. Darlie has to interact with Genjiro's strength. Kazuki has to interact with Genjiro's strengths. I don't know about Hanzo. Hanzo kind of avoids a lot of shit. But, and actually, to a point, is that Nakaruru also has to deal with this motherfucker too. But these characters, this guy, it's such a fucking bad time for this guy, for Genjiro versus those characters, because he just can't do much. He has to throw himself at them, and then it becomes a problem. He's better when people have to come at him, and and he can make shit happen, or he can make a life lead, and they have to come to him again. But these characters can just whittle him down again, and then he has to do it again, and it's just so weak. His weapon flipping technique is trash. His fucking SSM is not good. His fucking those two things really hold him back. That's why it's frustrating, right? Because he's not in range for those two things to hit half the time on these characters. But since, you know, and his rage is low on top of that, so he doesn't get many opportunities to land it. They need to buff his weapon flipping technique, because it doesn't need to be as bad as it. The only reason it's as bad as it is was because it was cancelable off overhead. But when they got rid of that, then they got rid of the reason why the weapon flipping technique is not very useful. They should, if they want to leave his overhead gone, they need to make him scoot forward when he does it, and then he can maybe like exist here in the A+ tiers. But until then, I think he's equal with these characters. Now, let's talk about these guys. Well, actually, one more thing about Gentro. He is like a ultimate Swiss Army knife, but it just got doled down by SNK. They just doled him down. They like filed down all the points on his character, and that's why he ended up here. I mean, for sure this character should, with his tool set, you would think he would be up here, but just since they nerfed everything about him, he just ended up falling down pretty far. But this is good. To me, these are characters that can win a tournament. But I feel like here is where you start struggling with these fuckers. These guys are just like working. This is where you start working your ass off to make deficits. But I mean, like I said, the game is balanced because of the game mechanics and like how the game works. So this is not a non-feasible thing. This is where I start to believe that your character, while functioning and can be played and has matchups that, you know, matter, they have this problem. I put these characters all have the same problem. All of them. What's up, Aru? One second. Fuck. Alright. So Basara, he's good. This is, you're gonna hear me say this a lot about these characters. He's good, but the margin for error is so low that he's one of those, like, theoretically should be here, but because just winning out in neutral is so wishy-washy at times with this character because his commitment levels. Okay, here's the best way to put it. The word for this tier is commitment. This is the commitment tier. These characters all lose because of commitments. This character has to commit to everything and loses out big time. This character, all his mediums are punishable, and all his fucking heavies are very punishable. Commitment. Now you can play a non-committal style with this character, just JC all day, but you know, you can just block this dude to death. Really, you can just block him. This guy, he is actually a non-committal character, but nothing about him, aside from his weapon flipping technique, it stands out enough. You know, he works and he's a functioning character, but because he can't force the opponent to commit, then he's not as strong. He has the opposite problem. He's a non-committal character that can't force the opponent to commit as well. So since he can't force opponents to commit, then he never can find the opportunity to make comebacks on smart players, or even keep ahead. I mean, he can make a life lead, but you know, it's hard to actually follow Akatsuki. He he just can't really get you to get hit. Like, backdashing fireball is good, and it's a strong tool when you have a life lead, right? But you need a decent life lead to make something like that strong, and jumping that is not very difficult. So that's where he suffers. Like I said, these characters, like, this game is balanced. It's not impossible to see this character's top 8, right? It's not impossible to see this character's top 8. But I don't put money on these people winning because they have to play perfect. Kiyoshiro has to play perfect. His DP, you have to hit it. It's one of the most punishable DPs in the game. His cross medium is like, the recovery is so high that if you whiff it and they jump, you're dead. You're dead. It's fine. Same with his 5B. His jab is like the only poke he has that, like, his 2A is the only one that's like non-commitment. But because he has his frog is super commitment. Since you have to commit so much with this character, you just start eating damage in places where other characters don't have to eat damage. Rimuru's the same way. You have to throw the ice, and once you throw that ice, I mean, you just hoping they didn't do anything during the entire time you threw the ice. Her 6-6B is punishable. It shouldn't be. If they made that not punishable, then she'd be a much better character. But everything she does is punishable for the most part, and it makes her a really high commitment character on almost any scenario. The only time she's not a commitment character is when she gets Oki. That's it. And even then, it's not even that scary. Like, there's some cool stuff she can do, but I mean, I'd take Tsubame Gaish over all this hopping around shit, you know. But yeah, fucking Wu, same thing. Just everything she does is such a commitment. I mean, everything's punishable. The fireball is good, but it's not gonna win. It doesn't really. The fireball doesn't just. You know, the problem is the fireball doesn't make scenarios where you can anti-air consistently, because a lot of the characters up here have really good jumping attacks, and she has to go for a counter. And a counter is such a high commitment move that you're gonna eat a lot more damage if you whiff it, or if they bait it out. And she has cool comeback stuff, but she has the same problem as, like, to get to that comeback stuff, you have to win neutral a lot before you get to that shit, right? And you know, this shit's just rough for her. She just can't really quite make it. And then Yoshitora down here, I feel like Yoshitora is just a weaker kind of Genjiro, in a sense that, like, he's got a lot of tools, but in order to make him, he's like, okay, here's the problem with Yoshitora. So Yoshitora is like, he can be super fucking good, but his neutral buttons, you know what separates Yoshitora from Genjiro is that Genjiro has better pokes. And since, you know, Genjiro has better pokes, he can establish a much stronger mid-screen game. Yoshitora's mid-screen game is jumping, right? It's just jumping. And when it just comes down to jump or no jump, and you can't, here's the problem. So Darlie has the same shit, right? And so does Yashamaru. So what makes Yashamaru and Darlie much better at the jump or no jump is just that they are also threatening on the ground at mid-range, right? So since since they are threatening on the ground at mid-range, what will happen is that you'll try to, like, counter poke, and when you go to counter poke, they'll jump, and then you'll eat it. But there's nothing in Yoshitora's kit really that makes you want to swing at mid-range, other than the fact that he can't fight at mid-range. So the only way he can get in is if he can utilize the fact that he can't fight at mid-range to bait you into swinging. And a lot of characters like Charlotte and Haomaru and Charlotte, Haomaru, Genjiro, maybe Ukyo, they can actually, like, whiff, see them jump, and then DP or anti-air. So that's a checkmate at that point, right? Because, like, at that point, they can do something, see you do it, and then do something about it. So it's a rough look. Like, I would, if he had a stronger mid-range game, I would put him A for sure. Because being able to land SSM and checkmate around is very strong. Being able to have all these tools is very strong. But having such a weak neutral game this game is neutral, obviously, y'all know that. This game is a neutral game, so weak neutral in a neutral game is not a good look. But, yeah. Yeah, I think that's everyone, really. It's funny because, like, he has good neutral, like, Earthquake has good neutral, but it's too high risk. And he's too slow. But I think I'm satisfied with what this is. I don't know if y'all... No, I talked about Galford. I said Earthquake has bad, high committal buttons, and then Galford is the opposite, where you don't commit on Galford because you don't have to. I think I talked to everyone. There's not much to talk about these characters. It's that, like, Earthquake, his pokes are actually as cheap as JC is. The rest of the pokes are high commitment. Like, the only low commitment pokes he has is JC and 6-6 D. That's it. And his problem is that his recoil game is actually trash. Even though Fat Breath is good, I think at a certain range, almost every character has an answer for Fat Breath on whiff that involves weapon flipping technique or SSM, or just DP. So, you know, and his only way out of a lot of scenarios is to teleport, which is SSM punishable, right? So that's not good. And Galford is just this. Galford is the only Galford is just, he's just a good zoning character, but he ain't got much else. I would put Galford higher if he just had something that made him like stand out. But he's just like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of guy. Because he got decent pokes. And he got some good gimmicks and here and there. I mean, these characters aren't terrible. You can play these characters and still get top 8 and shit. You just struggling. You're struggling like crazy because these characters all can fight you on every plane and not take risks. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the game in whole, really. I mean, I feel like this looks right. This looks correct to me. I don't know anyone else who if anyone wants to add anything, but I feel like this is a very concise look at how the metagame looks right now for Samurai Shodown. It'll probably stay this way until the patch hits, and this isn't bad. This looks healthy. This is a healthy game. To me, this is healthy. This is tournament I can win. And that's a lot. This is I can win, but I'm gross. Like, I'm a gross player. Like, I am a specialist, and I will never let an opportunity leave me. That's what this tier is. So I think this is a good place. Yeah, so like really that's all it is that you should look at it that if you pick these characters and you just because you like them, it's not a crime. But if you just pick those characters because you like them, you just add a disadvantage. And you can make the disadvantage, you know, you can close it. But don't be upset because these characters just have more opportunities than you to capitalize on a lot of things. But yep, that's all I'm gonna say about this shit. So I'm gonna make sure to save this shit later and try to, I guess, upload the VOD some other time. But there you go. That's Samurai Shodown to me in a nutshell.